And we should. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am Dr. Lori Monaco with Align Yourself, Inc. I am a chiropractic physician, holistic healer. I am a life coach specializing in transformation and mindfulness practice. I'm known as the weight loss doc now with my weight loss program. And I am also known as the Badass Buddha. And I'm a speaker too. I think I forgot that one. And I am coming to you from what appears to be a fairly sunny day in Southern Connecticut. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I am not finding me on Facebook. Here we are. Let me start the watch party.
That's an interesting name.
Good morning, mi gente. Buenos días. Namaste. I am La Margarita. I am coming to you from Tampa, Florida. I am a spiritual and creative healing life coach. I am a writer, an artist, a notary public, which I'm open for business, a wedding officiant, and I am your gladiator guru. So welcome this morning to Viva Cafe con Leche.
Yay. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Do you have any plans this weekend?
No.
Guru? Nope.
No. I am actually on YouTube learning how to knock my walls down so I can put my own sheetrock up to repair some walls. So
I love the way she chat. I love the way we were just talking about this yesterday at our meeting. And I said, I love the way you describe stuff, because I would have never said that. I would have said, I'm watching some YouTube videos to learn how to be a better YouTuber. And you have like this whole like building vision that you created while you're speaking. It's like, I just go for the easy. It's too much thought to do that.
No, well, because when I just want to say good morning to my beautiful Natalie Nicole Forte.
Good morning, Natalie. And Tiffany's on. Tiffany, good morning. She said, good morning, beautiful ladies. And Michelle's on. She said, good morning. Good morning to the both of you.
Yes, buenos dias. Yeah, because my walls for years, whoever Eric had fixed them, it always bothered me that they never put the tape on straight. So, you know, just
talking about real walls.
Yeah. I'm literally going to take down the walls that are there and reapply new sheetrock.
I thought it was a metaphor.
No, that's what I'm actually, you know, learning how to do myself.
Oh, that's so funny. I thought it was a metaphor. Like I thought you, because so Gladiator Guru and I are really trying to push up on our social media. We're trying to really brush up on our YouTube and you know, get not only just Viva going, but also our own businesses. I thought that's what you meant. I thought you meant I'm just going to use this weekend to brush up on YouTube and get, you know, like up and running to like become a better YouTuber. You're really okay. So she's really working on sheetrock, and
yeah,
she's
because I want to put crown molding up, and I don't like my walls, and it's time for me to just start fresh and build everything from the bottom up, one room at a time, and doing it myself. Why am I going to pay somebody money to do something? I just got to learn how to do it. I like to learn how to be very self-sufficient. And that's why this Chiral thing is so important for me this time, because I have to learn how to do everything that's good for me, and not leave it in anyone else's hands, because then I can't complain, right? I just got to get better and better at what I'm doing.
Well, you can complain, but you just don't want to be that person.
No.
You want to take responsibility and accountability for yourself. You don't want to blame it on everybody else. And kudos to you about the walls. Like I know how to do that stuff because I learned it years ago when I had a couple of fixer-uppers. And I love, like, honest to God, I think I was talking about this. Who was I talking about this to the other day? That if I could, I probably could be like, if you had another job, like if there was any other job that you had besides your business, what jobs could you do that you would be very happy to do and like really enjoy? And I got to tell you, I think landscaping, I could totally be a landscaper, have my own landscaping business, because I love being outdoors and I love getting I love physical, really hard physical work. And but a design, not just landscape, like cut somebody's grass. That would get boring. I mean like that plus like landscape design. And the other one would be demolition. Oh, demolition is so much fun. I'm not really great at, like, I could build because I've done it. I've built walls. I've run electrical. I've done plumbing, and it's all out of necessity. Like it's the same reason. It's like when you don't want to pay somebody to do it necessarily. Like if you have the money, great, but until you do, you want to just do it yourself. Plus, it's fun to learn. So I learned all that stuff too, but I've learned that I'm not that good at doing that type of work. Like I could do it. I could do rough work, but not detail work. But I could demolish something. It's so satisfying. So you're gonna actually take down a wall. Is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be more satisfying than you know.
Because when people have come here to do some work, they leave my house a mess. Like there's no need for you to come fix my toilet and leave like a puddle of dirt all around. I mean, I was just so angry. And when they did the hole in the wall from my kitchen to my living room, it was just so unnecessary. So I was like, I can do this. The only really big investment I have to make are those cordless saws that actually you just put in and it cuts the wall.
Yes.
And it's cordless.
A jigsaw. You talk about the one that has the little handle and then the saw blade comes down and up like that?
No, there's a new one.
About the long one?
It's long. Yeah, it's long, but it's not. It's really like this big. It's not really like big, and you just cut it out. And once I save up to buy that, it's like $200 the one I want because it has all different blades, and then I can start because sheetrock isn't that expensive or the tape. I just hate the way, and I always complained about it when my husband, like, why you let this guy fix it? It's all like wavy, like the wall.
Oh yeah,
it's been too long. I've been here 11 years. I think it's time to just say fuck it and do it my way. So good morning, everybody.
What is it? What machine? What power tool are you looking to purchase? Did you find the specific type? Let's put it out to the universe so that you get it. I'm working on this.
Most of my saws, because I have saws because I do a lot of work anyway, and I make my own canvas frames when I do my art pieces. I have the Ryobi, and I really like that one. The saw,
the one that you want to buy.
The cordless saw. It's the blue brand. The Ryobi is like a green.
Oh my God! I can't believe I'm like blanking out. It's Makita. The blue is usually Makita.
Yes, that's the one.
Listen, when I came into my second marriage, I came with my own tools. Like it wasn't like the guy came in with the tools. I came in with my own tools. And I'm not just talking about like a couple screwdrivers from Sears. I'm talking like serious power tools. Like I was restoring cars and built and remodeling stuff. Again, I'm not saying I was great at it, but I was doing it because I love doing that stuff. And I still to this day will do it. I would, so we're going to put that out there that you want the cordless Makita, which is probably most likely a Sawzall, but so it's about this big. So everybody put that out there that this is going to come.
I need it.
So that she can get this going. ASAP.
Yes.
Because here's one thing I know about Gladiator Guru when it comes to her house. When she decides that she wants to do something to the house, she does it. I got to admit, one of my little like things that I have to work on with myself is the time it takes for me to say what I want to do and actually take the action to do it. Not always, but I was so impressed with you just like jumping in. Like one minute she's saying, oh, well, I'm gonna you have to fix the laundry room, and then all of a sudden it's like a week later the workers are there, and I was like, damn, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna fix the floor, and then it's done. So I love that about you. So we need to get the universe to provide her with that Makita so that she could get rocking and rolling. And hell, while you're at it, let's provide with the crown molding. Crown molding's not cheap either.
Yeah, and it's just fun. And I have the nail gun. So all that's there. But yeah, so it's all about, walking in your own strength and having the power of self to say, I want to do this, and learn how to do it. And you learn by trial and error, but you learn. And it's a satisfaction when you sit down with your cup of cafe con leche at whatever hour, because I don't have a specific hour to drink coffee, and you look around and you say, I did this.
Yes.
This was my vision and I did it. And it doesn't matter how big or small the project is. It's just, it feeds your soul to where you know that there's nothing you cannot do, only what you allow yourself not to do. And like every morning, I praise God and I give gratitude for this new day, for breathing breath into me. Amen, amen, amen. I'm grateful 3 times for him, the Holy Trinity. And before I set my feet on the floor, and with that strength alone is what fills me with ideas throughout my day, because I'm grateful. And gratitude, it's that mustard seed. And if you're grateful the very first thing in the morning, what can possibly go wrong that you cannot handle throughout your day?
That's correct. And you can be grateful all day. So when something does happen, you can redirect by just thinking about what you're grateful for.
Yes. So let's say some shout outs. Good morning, Michelle Martinez. Good morning, Iritza. Iritza says, hello, Viva girls and guys. And she says, I think I got one in the garage. Te lo vendo. I'll sell it to you. All right, Iris, we'll talk.
Here's the train. The train is going to pick me up so that I can come down there and help you build the walls. That would be so much.
Look at that.
Oh my God. And we'll do a live broadcast while we're building, while we're like all like
sweaty
with the dust of the sheetrock and everything. Like I'm so down with that. That'll work for me. All right, so let's set our intention, because we want to get our guest on here. We have the lovely Shelley Parris back on, and we just so enjoyed having her as a guest that we were going to do this conversation anyway. Actually, the conversation that was going to air on the Tuesday that Gladiator Guru ended up being sick. So we packaged it for a Thursday, and when we were discussing it, we were both like, oh, Shelley would be perfect for this conversation, because she's such a powerhouse, and she's so what's the word I'm looking for? She's the epitome of the not vulnerable, and even if there is vulnerability there, you don't see it. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why that is. So how about you go ahead and we do our intention and our mantra, and then we get started. Let's
go ahead.
I can't pull that off sometimes, really. I'm just a little too white sometimes, but okay.
I can't sing. I'm tone deaf, but that don't stop me.
Yeah, but you could dance though, right?
In my head, I sound awesome.
Well, one thing I do want to say, so I went to a wedding on Saturday night. It was my oldest daughter's best friend, and she's like a daughter to me as well. And I was really honored the fact that she invited even the kids. Like I was surprised. Like usually weddings, they only invite the parent, or the adult, but she invited my younger kids as well. And we had such a good time. It wasn't a big wedding. She was playing some rocking music. I mean, this kid is like in her late 20s, and she was playing like every song that she played was like a song that I liked. And she had such a mix. Like, I don't know if it was her mom's influence or what. She's like an old soul anyway, but she was like, she had it going on. And it was so thrilling to see like my 16-year-old and my 7-year-old just like really burning up the dance floor with my older one, my 26-year-old. And it was just so much fun. Like, just dancing is so much fun. And when you can do it, it's just such a nice release. It's just, you forget about everything, and so
it is.
So Eileen's on. Dr. Eileen. Good morning, Eileen. I'm glad you're here.
Good morning, Eileen. And good morning to my cousin, Doji. Good morning.
Doji.
Yes. Do your intention.
Okay. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. So just
That's
think
it.
about it. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become.
That's so powerful.
That was a good one. Gladiator Guru came up with that one. It was absolutely fabulous. Okay,
Well, I was interviewed for the 50-ish movement, and she sent me some questions, and one of the questions was like obstacles, and when I was telling my story, that's what I wrote. You know, it doesn't matter that I was molested and raped and all of that. I didn't stay stuck there. I am not that. I am who I am today. So I wrote that in there, and it was pretty awesome. So the mantra is, I am fully present in my now. I am owning my now and living in my moment, because that's all we have. I am fully present in my now. I am owning my now and living in my moment. That's my mantra.
So let's live in our moment together right now. So let's get Shelley on. Do you have any shout outs you need to add on before we grab Shelley on? Or
my brother Mickey. Hello, good morning, brother.
Hi, Mickey.
Welcome.
Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. Okay, that's the one thing I can ever do.
You're white, chica.
I am very white this morning. Okay, so let's admit Shelley into the room. She's in the waiting room, and we'll bring her on for our fabulous conversation this morning. And come on, Shelley, there she is. Woo, look at there she is. Good morning.
Good morning.
Shelley. We need to unmute you. Unmute yourself, girl.
Okay, hello.
Oh, look at you, look beautiful. You look so beautiful. I love it.
Thank you. You too. Y'all look amazing.
Well, we did this for you. So like we made sure that we got it going on for you today. So
Right. Today.
how are you? How's everything going? How's
I'm doing fantastic. So I heard you weren't feeling well the other day. So I hope you're feeling better. Yesterday was that day for me. I was in the bed all day. Okay. I was decreeing and declaring. And I am feeling so great this morning, divine rising and in full joy. So, and I'm so happy to be experiencing and kicking off High Vibrational Thursday with you amazing goddesses. So thank you.
Oh, likewise.
I know, my goodness. What a fabulous entrance way into the conversation.
She's always like that.
I would have been like, yeah, I feel pretty good and glad to see y'all. I mean, like, vibration. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, all right. So let's kick off this conversation today. So the power of vulnerability. So these are some of the questions, but we could see where it takes us, right? So what is vulnerability? How can there be power with it? How are courage and vulnerability related? Why is it so hard for us to allow ourselves to be vulnerable? Who should we share our vulnerability with? And what can we do to feel the power of being vulnerable? So who wants to get started? What's vulnerability? Let's define it first.
Go ahead, Shelley.
I went to the etymology of the word. So that's something with me practicing conscious language. I've really been looking at the choice and the quality of words. We say words all the time and we use it, not fully understanding the meaning. So the etymology of the word vulnerable, it comes from Latin and it says to wound, hurt, injure, maim, to strike, wound. And a couple months ago, I shared in the last show, I have been going through a major program, mastery program, upgrading, upscaling my life, living in my God genius, walking remembered in my light. And in that, knowing that words are so powerful, I was given the invitation to look at that from a totally different way. that vulnerability in essence is really giving yourself permission to walk in your pureness, to walk intimately in this world, to walk securely as who you are authentically. So that is what it is for me. And learning to be able to rest in that space and show up in my pure, authentic, God secure self.
Absolutely, because they say vulnerability takes courage, where people look at it as weakness. Yes. And they said that it's anything but weakness. It actually takes true strength and courage to allow yourself to be vulnerable.
Yes, it absolutely.
Because in our society, vulnerability is viewed as it's viewed as a weakness. It's something that we don't want people to see. So everybody has pieces of them that they feel are. I have a hair just sitting there. I don't know what that's coming from. It's so annoying. It's like as I'm talking, it's like wiggling across my lips. I'm not going to say where my mouth was this morning, so we won't go there. So we all have like we know what our weaknesses are, right? And so that is considered a vulnerability, like what we don't want people to know about us, like the pieces that we don't want people to know about us. And then what we do, this is what we normally do. I'm not saying this is what you all do, because it's not obvious that that's what you do. What society does is we don't want people to see these pieces of ourselves, because we have it in our mind that this is just us, that we're the only ones, that we're ashamed of it and we're embarrassed by it. And if people knew what we were really weak with, that they would have a complete whole other idea of who we were, and they would judge us and blah, blah, blah. And they're not far from the truth, because that is unfortunately how society is. We are a very judgmental society. So we hide what we consider, quote, our weaknesses. And then we do everything in our power to take all our energy to never let people see these things on us, which takes away from our power, because we're pulling energy to do that. And then we end up getting resentful, we get envious, we get angry, we get sad, because we're not willing, like you said, Shelley, is to be authentic and to understand that that's a part of who we are. And once we recognize that vulnerability, that weakness, and we say, it's not a weakness, this is who I am. And if I don't like it, I can change it, but I have to honor it and acknowledge it. And then you move forward. So and then that's where Gladiator Guru is correct, because then it's not a weakness anymore. That vulnerability becomes your strength, your power. And it's about, when you were talking, Shelley, about understanding words, it's also about how we define them for ourselves. So how do we going to define vulnerability for ourselves?
Absolutely. And you touched on so many awesome points. The biggest thing is
must be the coffee kicking in this way.
Our weakness is just an opportunity for our strengths to return for us. And being able, as you said, to be in that space of acknowledgement and honoring where we are. And I think for me, over the years, getting comfortable with being transparent and showing that I can be both that work in progress and masterpiece simultaneously, that it is a continuous process, ongoing, lifelong, and this is who I am. And all of the things that have taken place in my life, it does not define me. I get to define it, right? It's not who I am, it's where I am at any given moment. And it's all about the perspective. So it has been a beautiful dance for me, being able to invite people in to see, this is who I am, accept it, love it, whatever, but I am going to love it and love me fully, wholeheartedly. And that's the power after that. So at that point, no more defending, no more convincing. I'm happy with who I am. So that's where
Well, because there's a thing that says failure is not final, it's formative. And if we keep that mindset, then guess what? I really don't give a shit how people view me. You know that, Shelley. You know that, Lori. You know what? Because my bottom line is, I may not be for everybody, but I'm always for me. And when I live and walk in that truth of mine, then it doesn't bother who's judging me. Now, do little things about people, like people who are not authentic and have this facade. I've never enjoyed being around hypocrites. So when I see, that's what bothers me about people. Not that there's no competition or anything. So it's, and I have to learn that, to just also let that go, because people are going to be who they are, and I can't help everybody because I am not Captain Save-A-Hole. And I had to learn that the hard way, you know? So yeah, absolutely.
That's an upcoming show, by the way.
Failure is not final, and everything you said, Shelley, is formative. And we just got to learn from that, you know, because if we show up, face fear, and move forward in everything we do, fear and criticism will always, it's always going to be there to greet us. Yes. It's how we handle it. Go ahead.
Definitely.
Being vulnerable is ridiculously courageous. Like most people say, no, it's weakness, and it's not. Because if you could, as you both have said, you've both used this term, if you show up and just be who you are, all of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the pieces of you that you know are not, that you feel that you've defined as weakness. Because other people might not actually believe that as a weakness, but you do. But it doesn't matter what they think, it matters what you do, what you think. But if you show up and you say, well, I'm here anyway, like that is a brave thing to do. It's like, let's put it in terms that people can understand. Like if you don't like public speaking and you have to do a public speaking thing for your job, and you show up and you're terrified, just the fact that you stood up there before any words came out of your mouth, you stood up there, that is the bravest thing that you could do. You faced that fear. That is a weakness for you. You were vulnerable, because that is a very vulnerable feeling for people who don't like public speaking. I'm not one of them. I can speak in front of thousands of people. I have no problem with that. But other people, they feel so naked and vulnerable, and just everybody's watching them. So that is a really big thing. And when you just stand up there, if you said nothing, you are facing that, and you're being brave and you're being courageous. Vulnerability, the other piece of it too comes in it, is that people, we assume that we're going to be shamed. And so like these pieces come, like one of the, if anybody ever wants to know a lot about vulnerability, the person I highly recommend to really look,
Brene Brown.
Brene Brown.
Brene Brown.
Yeah, and Brene Brown, I mean, she researched vulnerability, she researched shame, and they go together. So like if you're being vulnerable, the next option is somebody's going to shame you.
Yes.
Because, and we could shame ourselves, but it is worse when somebody also shames us, because then we're like, pushes us back down. But that's their crap. They're doing that because they want to knock you down. And that's why we're saying, it's like, if you show up and somebody's saying, oh, you this, and this, and you're like, and so what? Mm-hmm. There's no power there anymore. So then the vulnerability is no longer a vulnerability. It's actually a strength. It completely switches.
It does. Let me share something with you. I don't know if it was in Connecticut or when I first got here in the beginning of March, but I think it was in Connecticut. And my sister and I took my mom out. It was Connecticut, and the guy looked at me, because I got my wide hips and shit, which gives the illusion of a big ass, but it's just a good illusion. What happened? So he had the audacity to look at me and said, "You want French fries with that?" And I looked at him and I said, "Hell yes. How else am I going to maintain this figure?"
Yes, Mom.
So that was my power. I really wanted to punch him in the throat.
How thin was he when he asked you that? That's the other question.
No, I think he just, I don't think really, he was,
you don't
like,
think it was conscious? Me. It wasn't conscious. It was like a subconscious thing?
I think because I was laughing earlier, my laugh, just fills up the whole room. And I don't think he was doing it to be malicious. So that's why, and I came and I went like this, and I said, "Hell yes, how else am I going to maintain this figure?" Yeah. And he laughed. But when he first said it, I wanted to punch him in the throat. But then I realized that violence is frowned upon in public, right? So,
generally speaking, yes.
And you got to get bailed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a lot of shit.
It's just a whole.
But But and that's how I've always been. You know, I don't get like wounded. Like sometimes I watch movies and I'll turn it off. Like when this woman, like they're being followed to be murdered and they're screaming. And I know people who are like that and start like you want to slap them. Like, you know, this is your power. We all have the power to get out of everything. And we all have the power to stand up and be present for everything. And I think that's what, you know, I love this show today because it just demonstrates that whether you're male or female, we all have that power that we forget about. That's like Shelley, that's like our workshop that hopefully it happens in 2021, the power of pussy. It's about gaining
let me just be clear, it will happen, not hoping.
Oh yeah, no, it will, absolutely. There's no question, it'll happen.
Yeah. You know, so when, and that's what the power of pussy is all about. It's about us women, the women of the universe, the most powerful beings. It's waking up, awakening that power within and remembering who the hell you are wherever you are. That's so right. Yeah, so that's just like this vulnerability. Like Brene Brown says, seek excellence, not perfectionism.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Shelley. Because Lori and I, we can go on forever, and you are our guest.
No, this is good. We're like taking turns. This is like fantastic. This is good.
I just remember. So my daughter watched the show the other day, and she absolutely loved it. And I have to shout her out today. She is 30. My baby is 30 today.
30.
Yeah, happy birthday!
Damn.
So,
oh my God, you guys must look like sisters.
Yes. So it's her happy continuation day, and
happy birthday.
So blessed for her as my biggest teacher. And you know, when you talk about some of the things that you broached with the shame, so I was a teen mom. I had her at 15, you know, and there's all these narratives and stories and things that people tell you about yourself and what your life will be now as a result of a choice or a decision.
Labeled. Yep.
And so when you talk about people recognizing and knowing their power, we can be in many times in situations and circumstances and relationships where we either relinquish it willingly or it's taken from us and we don't remember it. So being able to get into that place that I am all powerful, right? The divine resides in me. I have everything already. I am enough. I am whole. I am divine. When we get back to that conscious awareness, then we can show up and turn on our light and be who we are unapologetically without permission. Yet we spend so much time on the pathway. Will you love me? Will you like me? Will you say yes to me? And it goes right back to the last conversation that we had. It starts with ourselves. I am my first beloved. So my love and my acceptance and all those things that I'm desiring outside of me, I have to cultivate it within me. And then it radiates and then it emits and then it aligns everything for me that my world projects it for me. I see it in my world now. So that's what I got.
Absolutely. You know, when I speak to people and we talk about love, right? My biggest thing, like with Ajusta tu Corona, is self-love, right? Because with self-love, then you own your world.
Yes.
But when you speak about love to people, they quickly want to speak about heartbreak and heartache. Mm-hmm. You know, and love is beautiful. To me, love is beautiful. I can fall in love with you, and if we're good together, I'll move mountains for you because love is God. Is that strong? And people don't understand it because it's too huge for us humans to understand. Because love is God, and who is He? He's the whole entire universe. So. And I write about it all the time. I'm a hopeless romantic. Love is love is love is love. And that's all there is to it. And we put so much condition on it and then it trickles down to all the other stuff that makes us question ourselves. Am I good enough? Why wasn't I good enough? Why did he ghost me? Why did we break up? Why did he cheat? And those questions don't need, they shouldn't have any room within our temples.
And I think you brought something up really good too, because you brought up love. And most people who will swear and say, oh, I don't like being vulnerable, and I just like, they'll say it, they'll like actually verbalize that they don't like being vulnerable, but yet falling in love is being vulnerable because you put yourself out there, and you could do it in a strong way. I'm not saying you can't, it doesn't have to be like a vulnerable thing, but it really is. It's like you're putting yourself out there, and then somebody has to reciprocate, and in a way you don't really fully know if that individual is going to be on the same page as you. So we always, every single day, we are vulnerable in some particular way. I think it's just that people decide in their heads that, oh, I'm not, that's not a vulnerability. That's just, getting into a relationship. And Gladiator Guru is right. People, when you say love, people think of heartbreak, or they think of relationships and not good ones, or they think of sex. It's like they don't think of love as just the purity behind love,
No, and I to open up yourself to love after you've had heartache, it might seem vulnerable because, as Shelley says, we don't use our words correctly, but actually that is such a symbol of courage.
Yes.
That you're willing to put yourself out there knowing that pain will probably immediately follow. But I never think about that. Like, I with the quarantine, I haven't met nobody, but I can fall in love easy. I can fall in love every day of my life. And I love that about me. I love that I can fall in love. And if I love you, I don't expect you to love me like I love you.
Yes.
Because you're not me. And when I love deep, and I love hard. And like I tell you, I will move mountains. I will order you a pizza from Florida if you're in Connecticut hungry. I will love you. And if you decide that I'm too overwhelming, as I've been accused of in the past, and so that's not my issue.
That's right.
That's not my issue. Then I feel bad for you that you traded a love with no condition, a love that just loved, to something that you feel you can manage or control or something. Then you're never gonna know what love is.
But the important thing here is, though, that you are so strong that you don't view it as a vulnerability, because other people might. And that's another thing that Brene Brown touches on, is the fact that, and that was one of the questions, is who do we share our vulnerability with? She's very clear on the fact that we need to share it with the people who matter, not like just willy-nilly. You don't just put yourself out there and say, this is my quote that I feel that I'm vulnerable, my weakness, because there will always be bad people out there that will do whatever it takes to take advantage of that piece of you. And if you are not that strong yet, they will succeed. So with you, Gladiator Guru, you already know, like you're saying, I love falling in love and I don't mind, I can do it every single day. But the person that you are most in love with is you.
That's right.
And so you don't mind going into that piece, that other part, because as soon as you start to go there, and if you feel that you're not getting it back and moving on, like I'll move on to something else, because that's not a vulnerable piece for you. So, but if you find like anything that that might be a little bit vulnerable for you, that's what we have to always share it with, just the people that we know that will love us no matter what. Like they love us. What's the expression that she says? They don't love you in spite of your flaws. They love you because of your flaws.
Because of your flaws.
Right. So they don't say, well, I'll love you, I love you, but even though you're like that, like it's like what she thinks, it's like, I love you no matter what. Like no matter what, wherever you are in your life, whatever you feel your vulnerability is, it doesn't matter. I love you. And which means that I will support you. So we have to be careful about who we share our vulnerability with until we get to a level where we find our vulnerability is absolute power. Like we say, oh, I don't care. It's not a vulnerability anymore.
But so what do you think about that, Shelley?
So with all that said, the word that keeps coming back to me in terms of who we're sharing with, it's a level of intimacy. Into me, you see. So it's giving people.
Say that again. Say that again slowly for the people online.
Into me, you see. Intimacy.
Wow. I love that.
My love is here, and and we talked about that last one, right? I am love and you are here. So I am here bestowing that love on you, and I'm projecting that experience with you. And the fact that you have come to that place where you can say, I will not resent you because you can't receive all of it anymore, or the capacity of which I'm giving it is just too big for you. It's okay. I'm gonna get up now because love ain't being served here anymore. It's okay. You know, no love lost. I gave willingly. I gave from that space of wholeness.
Absolutely.
It was part of the part that's power. That's growth. That's a maturity, right? Because it's a love that it isn't about you have to do this for me to do that. It's just here, and I'm giving that to you. That's so much freedom in that. And absolutely. I am truly learning how to operate in that space, because before it would be, I'm going to hold back because you didn't say it like this, or you didn't do this. And I'm talking about romantically, right? So we're going,
yeah.
And then also our children. Oh my gosh. Like, you know, I have 3 children, and my oldest is 30. My younger 2, she'll be 15 the end of the month, and then my son will be turning 14. So all these different ranges and personalities and everything. And I had the other day where I sat down with my younger 2, because we are growing through our own personal experiences. Divorce became final earlier on in the year. And, just really being able to honor them and where they are, at the level of which they're able to express themselves. And this is something, son, you have a son. I'm going through this process of, when he was younger, he used to be mommy, and the hugs and the kisses. Now he's like, yo, mom, the bass came in, and it's like pulling teeth, like, do you still love me? You're going through that. And then it's like, wow, he's evolving as a person, and really being able to accept them where they are and still give your love, right? So
absolutely.
Whew, it has just been
it's hard because my kids are 34 and 30. My baby's 30, and they contact me every day. We have to speak every day, or at least send loving messages through the text.
Yes.
And when they call me in the Puerto Rican culture, when you enter a room and there's elders there, you have to say bendición, which is asking for blessings. And then they would say, God bless you. So my kids, and I trained my grandkids too, when they call me, when they see me, the first thing before saying hi, they have to say bendición.
Bendición.
And I say Dios te bendiga. And so all 3 of my grandkids say it. My kids, they know. I will slap them. I don't care how old they are. Because in our culture, that's very disrespectful. Unfortunately, most of my generation have not raised their kids that way.
Mm-hmm.
And although I'm Puerto Rican by father and Italian by mother, our Puerto Rican family embraced us. So the other ones did not want us because we were Puerto Rican. So what do? You grow up in that vulnerable state, like, I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn with the insight, with the gift of insight that I acknowledged at the age of 6, is what has helped me throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
We all have that. We just got to learn how to awaken it within ourselves.
Yeah.
But I learned how to read and write and speak Spanish, and I taught my children, even though they hated my guts, because it was 1 hour a day of only Spanish speaking. Now they're fluent. So you have to train your kids. Mm-hmm. You don't leave it up to them to decide, because then when they're 15 to 20, they're gonna say, why you never taught me Spanish? And it is the parents' fault. I'm gonna just put that out there. Mm-hmm. So so children are, you know what, you gotta, they were left in our care, right? Yeah. Because they're of the universe. And it's not for us to project what we believe onto them, as much as help mold them become who they are, with the strictness of respect and honor who we are as their mother. But I totally agree with that, and the falling in love, and you learn as you grow how to I've walked away from every relationship I've ever been in if I didn't like what was going on, or I just got tired of the bullshit, except Eric. Eric decided to say, see ya, I'm going to transfer into the next realm. I'll see you when you get there. So it's like, I even walked away from somebody I was still in love with, which is my son's father. And I still love him to this day. He just can't stand me because I left him 20 years ago and he still don't talk to me. But what happened? You know, that means he's still in love with me. So I that's what I think. You get vulnerable. Yes, I think there's vulnerability in everything we do and decisions we make that's going to affect other people. But it's still having the self-belief and the courage to say, I still must go forward.
Yes.
Yes. Believing that it's a power, you know, like think so. So one of the recommendations we could make is for all of you out there is to, you know, there's always power in writing. It's one thing to think about what you're, you know, this is anything in personal development. It's one thing to think about things in your head, but when you actually put it on paper, or as Gladiator Guru said, if you think it, ink it, right? If once you achieve it. And so write it down and just write down what you believe your quote weaknesses are, what your vulnerabilities are. And then this way you see them in front of you, and then you decide, okay, how am I going to take this and make it powerful? How am I going to make this a strength? What am I going to do? What can I do to step into my greatness, to step into my authenticity, know my truth, and then say this is no longer a vulnerability for me? Like one of the things that I knew was a weakness for me, or I thought. I don't want to say I knew because that was my belief. I was always really ridiculously sensitive. Like if Margie and I knew each other like 5 years ago, or no, maybe 6 years ago, because she said she doesn't like people who cry, and she would have smacked the crap out of me numerous times because I was like such a crier, like that was me. And I felt that like everything, like anything would set me off. I would feel it with people's energy in the room. If I watched something on a movie, a commercial, I cried. If I got really emotional, it would just come out. Even when I was pissed, if I was pissed, it would come out as tears. So I hated that about myself. I'm like, I can't stand, it's such a weakness. I don't want to be that person anymore. And so I actually put it on my list of things that I hated about myself because I didn't like it. And then as I started to transform and grow, I realized that having that ability to be that sensitive and pick up on people, if I just redirected it just a little bit and understood how powerful I was, that sensitivity ended up serving me so well as a coach. Because, and even as a speaker, because I sit there and speak in front of like 200 people and speak on a level that as if I'm talking directly to the person.
Yes.
I've looked out at the audience and had people like crying about what I was talking about. And I'm in my head, I'm going, I didn't mean to make you cry. Like, that's not what I intended. They come up to me afterwards and go, oh my God, I felt like you were just talking to me. And they start crying and they tell me they share with me their story, hug and all that stuff. And so I moved that from what I hated about myself to what I loved about myself, because I realized that no longer, and if anybody said, because this is the interesting thing, the shame piece comes in. Family members, my kids, significant others, make fun of me when I was like that. I'm watching a show, oh, of course, Lori's going to start crying again, blah, blah, blah. And they would look and they would watch, see if I was doing it. And after a while, I'd be like, I'm not watching these things with you anymore because like making me feel bad. And after a while, I finally said, screw you. At least I have emotions, you know, like, why don't you focus on your own crap and not worry about what I'm doing over here? Like, worry about what your own, and that's what I realized. It's like, maybe the reason people shame and project like that is because they're so fearful of their own vulnerabilities coming out, which actually, I'm not even asking the question. That's the truth of it.
Yes.
So yeah, so once you step into your power and you say, I'm okay with that, now I'm going to make that quote vulnerability my power, then it's not a vulnerability anymore. And then you become so strong and courageous that nothing can touch you. Doesn't matter what somebody else says.
Yes, that is so beautiful. So that perceptivity that you have to be able to gauge the room, and the fact that you allow people to be comfortable enough to get in tune with their emotion. That's energy in motion. Crying is an initiation. Crying is an opportunity to release. You release over 60 toxins with tears. So I used to be a former shower crier, right? Go in the shower, holding the railings and everything, and then come out, I'm good. Because again, that is weakness and you're a wimp and all that stuff like that. But softness, that's a power. And we don't allow people the room to get in touch with their emotions, and particularly with men, right? Yes. My son, I have given him the okay for him to be able, yes, you can cry. It's fine, because we'll tell them to suck it up, right? And then 25 years later, 30 years later, you're talking about, here is this emotionally void man that I can't even connect with. So giving people the opportunity to touch and feel all of their emotions without judgment, and being able to acknowledge what you're going to do with that. So I love crying. I encourage crying. I sure do. I sure
do together.
Well, no, see, with me was I always associated crying with being weak and pathetic.
Yes.
For many, 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 many years. Many years. That's why my book is subtitled A Book of Tears Shut in Print. Mm-hmm. Because I would not cry. I would not cry. If I would feel it in my throat, I would have a sore throat the rest of the day, because it's like if I swallowed the golf ball, because I would swallow it back down and I'll say, bitch, you're not gonna cry. I would tell myself that. Since I did not hear the sound of my cry from the age of 6, and the next time I heard it was when I was 42. So I learned now I cry. Now I cry on TikTok videos. I cry. I cry when somebody's telling me a story. I cry with my niece beside me as I'm watching a movie, which they never saw as they were growing up. And why? And I'm going to tell you why. I had 2 major losses in my life. And it wasn't until the second loss that I realized I lost my first love and I lost my sacred love. And at both of those funerals, I stood there in front of the casket and I'm looking around like, why the hell am I here? I don't know these people. So I was so numbed that at my father's funeral, I felt as though, I'm telling you, I felt and acted as though I was with a friend and she dragged me to this funeral and I knew nobody there. That's how void of emotion I was. When Eric passed away, I'm standing in front of his casket and people are speaking at his casket and they're crying and people are coming up to me and I'm looking at them like, one, get the fuck off of me. I didn't want nobody touching me. I didn't want nobody coming up to me crying like, I'm so sorry. Like back off. Why are you in my face type of thing? And then I went to Spain and I walked, and Spain saved my life because it reintroduced me to the woman that I became after those tragedies. And it allowed me to recognize that it's okay for me to cry.
It's sacred. And you pointed out at 6. So what happened to you at 6? And that's one of the things when I'm working with my clients and being able, and even for myself, because I'm my biggest client, right? Getting those transformational marker moments that something was told to us that it wasn't okay. And then we get locked into that pattern and we just continue to perpetuate it until something comes and shakes us into consciousness. Like, this is a pattern. You've been operating in this mode. You can choose something different now. So you brought up 6.
At 6, my mom's husband, my stepfather, just to make it easy conversation, hit me. And I told my dad, and I cried to my dad. So then my dad came and beat him up so bad, my dad went to jail.
Gotcha.
While he was in jail, he then started molesting me. And I knew, that's why I say the gift of insight. And I knew at that time that if I told my dad that this man was molesting me, my dad was then going to kill him and probably my mom forever. And that he would be in jail forever and I wouldn't have my dad. So I sacrificed. Yes. I figured I can endure this and still keep my dad. Yes. And then, just the secondhand acknowledgement of a mom who put their men first. And then at 19, when I was raped, as Tiffany was 2, slept beside me, and I had to endure that. And I sat up, so I fell asleep, and I got up, and when the sun came up, I got up, I took a shower, I got her dressed, I got me dressed, I grabbed as much as I could up, I dropped her off at daycare, and I went to work. And that was that. So you know what? I always had to build my courage so that I can always put one foot in front of the other. And at 42, I actually fell. It was almost 2 years that my father passed away. I actually fell to the ground, and I was so frightened at the sound of my cry because I hadn't heard it for so long. And that was it. And then I didn't cry no more, just that one time after he died. And then because I didn't mourn his death correctly, I'm still haven't learned how to mourn Eric's death. So that's just a work in progress, but I'm not afraid of it. You know what I mean? There's very few things. The biggest fear that I have in my life is that I hardly have no fear. And we need fear. But because I had to be strong all my life, I had to always be elevating myself to be stronger, to climb that wall at all costs, to survive at all costs. So that's why. But I'm learning to be gentle with myself. You know, I'm learning to allow that vulnerability of courage, not of weakness. Because to me, weakness is such a bad thing, just watching my mother, how she always was. So to me, I'll be vulnerable in my courage to accept that I must cry.
Yeah, that is okay. Those moments, defining moments in our lives that we create the armor, right? That we build to protect ourselves from the world. And that's that armor that we build and keep ourselves out of our own selves.
Absolutely
connected so that we can just function and operate. And again, it's something that happens that brings you back, and then you're faced with all these years of the walls that were built, the armor that was put up, and just to have the courage to say, I'm going to be okay, and I can put this down because I'm not 6 anymore, I'm not 19. With me, with my daughter, I was 15 and 4 months pregnant with my mom transitioned. So mom at 15, my mom has gone into the ancestors, and it was like, you gotta be strong, the world, me against the world, and going into that mode. And how I even got involved in this work that I'm doing, I was in a session, a breathwork session, which is phenomenal. That is something in one of the practices that I offer that allowed me to grieve all the years that I hadn't, grieving the loss of my mother, the loss of my brother, and it was recently the loss of my cousin, who was like my first best friend growing up. And I was in that session and breathing, and the tears and years of holding on to all these layers, and just to be able to say, it's okay, I can release that and let go, and I can allow joy back into my life. It's okay for my joy to come back in. That was one of the greatest gifts that I was given in that experience. And I'm so happy to be able to gift that back to all those that I have an opportunity to connect with.
Well, yes, because that's what you're going to be doing on Ajusta Tu Corona, the breath work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Can't
Very
wait to see your video. Yeah.
All right,
and absolutely, I know we got to leave, but yes, that's why, just seeking the true strength of spirit, and working on ourselves. Like my armor, it's falling because I'm putting the armor of God on every morning, because then, so yeah, it's wonderful. It's something that I'm so grateful that we got to speak today about this, because
absolutely.
Thank you.
But before we leave, hold on.
Let's do some shout outs. Go ahead.
Shout outs to, I said, Doji. Carmen says, you overwhelming what? Never. I know I can be a tad much, but you know what? I love that about me.
I do too.
You know what? I'm so genuine and authentic, and I'm true to myself. That's why, and Shelley, going back to that 6-year-old, that's why in an article that I was interviewed for, that is why.
Oh,
frozen.
Oh, there we go. right, until she gets back on, let me just do some shout outs. So shout out to Arlene Gonzalez, Midgie, Rodriguez Cruz, Liz, Janet was on, Eileen King, Robert Rogowski, and Hekron. I'm glad that you guys were all here, and hopefully you're still on and watching the rest of it. Hopefully Margie will get back on before we actually close off, because she was so in the middle of like a fantastic statement. And maybe the universe said, yeah, you know what? We don't want you to say anything.
Yeah, frozen. Oh, she's
off. She'll probably jump back on. There we go. Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
What was the universe saying about that at that moment in time? Just shut you right.
Thank you, Lori. You were hoping I would shut up, but I can talk forever.
That's the universe. Hey, listen, I did some shout outs. So do some shout outs on your end. It might be a repeat, but I did some shout outs. So
I did. Marilee says hi. Janet said hello, beautiful family. Lillian says she's the crybaby of the tribe. Shine Bright Jules joined. So hello, Alicia. And Petey said that she was the sedative and I didn't like it, but I spent 2.5 years that I could not cry and all I wanted to do was cry. And Petey's a crier naturally, but yeah. It's all about, you know what? It's all about inquire within and get acquainted with yourself and be true to your spirit. And everywhere you will walk in sunlight, no matter how late in the day it is. And
with courage.
I always say it. I'm unapologetically courageous. If you like me, fine. If not, I'm fine.
That's right.
Either way, we good.
Right. And that's probably why when people don't like you, because you're making them face stuff that they're afraid to do. Like you're who you are. And some people are really not comfortable with being who they are.
That's right.
That makes sense. And being around you might make them uncomfortable.
I'm okay with that.
I love your personality. Are you kidding me?
Love it.
Absolutely.
Shelley, thank you so much. And thank you for your insight, because it's like, I still, maybe for the next show, but I still really is being vulnerable a weakness, or is it courage, or is it both?
It's courage. I think it's courage.
I think it's courage, but I also heard like to fall in love, it makes you feel, it's vulnerable. And I guess it is, but it's courageous to actually try and do it. Anyway, I got a little confused on that.
No, what I was trying to say was that people will say, I don't like being vulnerable, but yet they don't categorize falling in love with somebody as a vulnerability, but technically it is, because you're taking a chance. So that's what I was saying, is that they don't realize they are being courageous. If you fall in love and let yourself go, you are being courageous. So for those that say they don't like being vulnerable, that's what I meant by that. All right, well, I cleared that up at the end.
Okay, Shelley, we would like for you to say, we always say our gladiator guru and badass Buddha goodbye. Do you want to send a message out before we leave?
So I just, again, thank you again, you amazing goddesses, for helping me make my joy rise. I'm on my full joy flex. It is High Vibrational Thursday. So walk cosmically in your love. Take up the room, take up space, be big, shine your light, shine fiercely. I am Shelley Parris Williams, holistic practitioner, well-being warrior, and sister in infinite possibilities. Peace.
Ooh, I love that.
Oh my God. Makes mine feel so like, you be real, be extraordinary. That's all I got.
Glorious.
Wow. Did you say it, Lori?
I did. I'm done.
Okay. Mi gente, have a beautiful day and make it all about you and your light and everybody. Breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.
Bye, everybody. Have a nice weekend.
Hey, peace. Love you. Love you, ladies.
Oh my God, that was so funny. Oh my God, this was such a good conversation. I can't tell you. Oh my God.